And I know we're off script here and off what we were going to do, but let's just get back to where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So excited that you are all here. Sorry for the delay. We wanted to do this self-tape live webinar with you because self-tape has not only become more common, it's become necessary. Luckily, we're still seeing projects come through, but with one caveat: you need to self-tape. Hashtag, social distancing, right? So it's more important than ever to know how to properly self-tape and kind of how to have your setup ahead of time so that you're minimizing the distractions that you're having. So we brought Rose on. She's going to talk to us about how to self-tape, what casting directors and their clients are looking for. Excited to have her here. She's going to give you advice on how to deliver the best possible self-tape. She's a prominent casting director who has handled literally every casting category there is over the past 20 years. So that's included Edward Scissorhands, Bridezillas, Elimidate, countless commercial campaigns. So she's provided talent for hundreds of productions nationwide. So without further ado, here is Rose Rosen.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I know Tommy just went over that, but really, I've been answering some of your questions online, so they're so good, and I know Tommy's going to pluck some of them as we go along, and I'm going to do a quick overview of best practices of self-tape, and then we'll probably dig into a lot of your questions, but I do want to say I hope everybody's staying home and staying safe, and we wish everybody well. But for this time, we're just going to focus on self-tape and on our craft. So let's talk about, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, because I've been doing self-tape for years, and I've been talking my clients into why they should do self-tape. My reasons are a lot, but I will just start with, I think the audition process in and of itself is cold and unwelcoming to the actor. And I've always honestly felt bad on the other side of that peanut gallery. I try and keep my room as warm and friendly as possible, but it must be horrible for you guys to be in a room full of people that look just like you and are competing for exactly the same job, and only one would get it. It just has always freaked me out, so it must freak you guys out.
Hey, and Rose, sorry, 1 second. Can you turn the live stream off? I think I could hear an echo of...
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. And that. And hang on. All right, we back to not technical difficulties. Hearing me good? No? There's an echo.
Yep, I think we're good.
Okay, so back to why I like self-tapes. Lord knows. Anyway, I like self-tapes because you get rid of all of that tension in the room, and that whole situation that you guys have to go through, and you could be with yourself and be with your camera and take 50 takes if that's what you need to do in order to get to where you feel comfortable. And hopefully today, with some of the tips we're going to go over, you'll feel more comfortable in less than 50 takes. And we'll give you some tips on how to make it look good and sound good and all that. So that being said, let me start with some of our best practices. The first thing, and really, if you listen to nothing else, because I'm going to say it about 50 times today, follow the directions. I am just one casting director. The way I like things is going to be different than the way somebody else likes things. Also, you need to understand that my directions come from the director. So there's always a little tweak. These are standard guidelines that we'll give you today, but there's always something different that they want in that casting. And so it's critical you read the directions. I recommend you read them 3 times before you even start on your journey of that day's self-tape. And so definitely read your directions. And if for some reason there are no directions, your agent just sends you your sides, call your agent and see what is needed for that tape, because that's what the agent is there for. And so that's number 1, read the directions. Number 2, basic guidelines. I'm going to tell you, you can do this on your smartphone. You absolutely can. Make sure you turn it this way, right? Horizontal, landscape. I don't care how you call it, but this is it, sideways. So think about it. The reason for that is the end client in this, the producers, the directors, the clients, they're all going to be looking at that on probably a computer screen, very unlikely on a television, but every computer screen is horizontal, and that will match up. If you do it this way, then I get black bars on each side, and that's no good. Obviously, we're missing 50% of your audition. So use your space, use your, and make sure you can actually be seen. We need you in focus, in good lighting, and in decent wardrobe. What does that mean? Obviously, focus. You could see if you're in focus. If you can't tell whether or not you're in focus, think about the figuring that out. And good sound. You're going to have to, you might need a mic. You might not. I'm not using a mic today. And aside from this issue earlier, I think we hear me pretty good. So it just depends on your situation and whether or not you need a little padding around you. Some fabric helps with mics, that sort of thing. You never want to, unless it's asked, of course, always go back to the directions, but you never want to wear a hat or sunglasses unless that's the call to be seen with hat and sunglasses. That never happens. And like I said, make sure your lighting is bright. I mean, think about it. I've created this self-tape today. It's not bad. And it's just on my computer. So anybody can do it, I promise you. I'm not using all my big fancy equipment. This is just me and a computer and Tommy. Hi, Tommy. All right, so then what you want to do is set this all up. Tommy's going to have some links in the description of some products that you may or may not want to buy. I'm not telling you to buy anything. You could do it, most of it with stuff you have at home, but you're going to want to have, like if you use your phone, you want like a little tripod to use that phone with. So, you don't want somebody holding your phone. That's pretty definite. You may or may not need a mic, and you definitely need a light. And you want to test all this stuff. Oh, and you need a background. And it could be a sheet. The sheet needs to be ironed. No wrinkled sheets. And no selfies. Don't ever send a selfie out as a self-tape. That the angle is completely wrong. It gets all weird. And even if you think you're good at it, you're not. So definitely get these things. And like I said, there'll be some links in there. Oh, and compress your video. So after you take your test, you want to email your video to yourself and have a look and see how large that file is. Tommy, do you want to talk about that, or you want to just drop a link in later about that? About compression.
I'll drop a link in there in terms of your video file, because I know that's tricky, right? You're recording on your phone. And
hang on, I couldn't hear you because I had everything turned down. Are you there? I can't hear you at all.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm here now.
Sorry.
So I'll add a link in the description for everybody. But there's a couple different apps. There's one that I really like where you can see the size of your video file in your camera roll if you have an iPhone. And then you can also compress it if you need to, because you're recording your self-tape. Like, I don't know, is this over 100 megs? Is this going to be like too big? Casting director doesn't want to deal with a super large file, but we do want it to be in high quality. So it can be tricky, but luckily there's apps that can do a lot of that work for you. So we'll put that in the description of the video for you.
Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is label. All of your media should have your name, your agent, and your role on it. And it's really important. I mean, I always say the benchmark of a good casting is to actually cast the person they want. Like, make sure everybody is labeled properly, because if I make a mistake and I put your media with somebody else's profile, that's not good. I did this once years ago, many years ago. I was sitting in the Moho with my client, and we were looking out to the sea of extras, and they said, "Hey, where's that Sue Smith?" And I said, "She's right there." And they're like, and they pick up the headshot of the person they thought they hired, and I'm like, well, but, and I pick up the headshot of the Sue Smith that I did hire. It was just an extra, not that it was important. It wasn't that important, but it was, it gave me pause, and I will never make that mistake again. I check and double check. So please label your stuff. It's so important. So I think I made my point there. So then the next thing you want to do is you want to set up a home studio. And I know you guys some of you are in New York, some of you are in small apartments, and you can't just leave something set up in a room. Nobody has that kind of luxury. But what you can do is set up a background, a tripod, a camera, a light. That's pretty much it. And a microphone if you need it. And test it, right? So you get whatever area. Maybe you have a white wall in your house. I don't know. Maybe you want to paint your wall white in your house. There's nothing wrong with that. I love white walls. I know I don't have them, but I do in other rooms. Anyway, so get it set up, put a little tape on your floor, so you know where to put that tripod back next time. So it's 5 minutes to set it up again. And test everything. Note the time of day, because the lighting from your window is going to be different, and that's going to affect the quality of the light on your face, which is number one important to me, how you guys are lit, because I need to see you. So set it up, test it, email it to yourself. That compresses it already. Use some of Tommy's apps that he's putting into the details, and you should be able to get ahead of this. I imagine you guys have a little time now, and you're at home, and so it's a great time to do this. So let's work on this. And if you want to send me a 30-second monologue that you're working on with this, hashtag quarantine monologue on any of the social platforms, tag me, tag Casting Networks, and put that hashtag on there, also in the description. And and then I'll get to see it. And trust me, I need some amusement, so make them funny. And let's see. So basically, what I want you to do is to take the experience that you've had in a casting room and replicate it. That's really all you're trying to do in your home studio. And I get that that's not easy, but the truth is it's not that hard either. But every audition you've gone into looks pretty similar. It has all those components, and the only difference for me between self-taping and seeing you in studio, aside from the fact that there's some interaction, is the fact that my client can see every talent in the same light and in the same situation with the same background. So if you know that ahead, you know that every casting is well lit and every casting has a plain background. If you can get to that, you're 90% of the way there. So get going on that. I think Tommy's going to put some links in here but you need a camera, you need a tripod, you need the plain background, you need a dedicated space, and you need lighting. I think we went all over that. You can maybe get a microphone, and there's also some teleprompter apps if you feel like you need that. Honestly, I feel like unless it's very long, you should try and, memorize it and see what you could do. It's just easier for me to see it that way. It feels more organic if you're not looking at notes like I am. So I'm going to wrap up here, and then we're going to take some of your millions of questions that I was already responding to. But so what we want to do is follow directions, replicate the casting studio with good lighting, good sound, a plain background. You can get yourself a little HD camcorder dedicated, or use your phone, no problem. One is not better than the other. If you have an iPhone 2, I would suggest you not use it. Yeah. So you need it, and if you're using your phone, it needs to be HD format. Whatever you're using, it has to be HD. Otherwise, it's in the dark ages of casting now, so you don't want to do that. Your look, no hats, no sunglasses, no patterns on your clothes. I don't think we discussed the colors of the clothes. So I like blues and grays as a standard almost all the time. So if there's no wardrobe direction, just go with that. Very simple, always no pattern. Keep it simple, keep it clean. And please, even if it says no makeup, I say wear a little makeup. But if it says nothing, definitely, tap your shine down. Do something. I used to be a makeup artist, so back in the year one. Anyway, test your setup. I can't emphasize this enough. Test your setup and email it to yourself and look at it and hear it. You're going to know if it sounds good. You're going to know if it looks good. You're going to know if it's in focus. You're going to know if you look good. And if you don't know those things, send that on to somebody who you think knows that better than you do. Always read your directions. I've said it 10 times. Now I'll say it 11. Read your directions, read your directions, read your directions. Because what I can tell you today is just basic stuff. What each casting director wants in each individual casting is directed from the director. Follow all of these basic guidelines, and I know you'll be very, very successful. Okay, Tommy, I want to open it up for some questions. What do you got?
Yep. All right. Okay. So been getting a lot of questions. It seems like the general question that people want to know is regarding a reader. So a lot of people are in quarantine, so it's not so easy to get, your friend to come over and do a read, and you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Right. So questions have been, is it okay if I read just, the lines without having someone read the other part? Can I record that? Is it okay if I have someone call and read the lines, or what would you suggest?
I think there are a lot of choices in that, actually. I think you can if you have if you have like an iPad, maybe you can FaceTime with another actor and do it together. There are a few apps, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know them, but that you can do that. So basically what I want you to do is try and find a partner for your reader, and you can FaceTime it out with them. If you don't have a partner, you can record yourself doing the other lines with the pause for the lines that you're going to read, and then work off of that. You're reading to yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think you'll do better if you have some choice of somebody reading to you, even if it's on a telephone, anything, even if it's just audio, whatever. But I definitely think a reader is good, but there are so many technical choices here that you shouldn't have too much of a problem. I'm
going to put a couple more as they come in on here. So we got Aaron asking whether you should slate before or after the audition.
I like it as a separate clip. That way I can make a choice whether to include it or not, and whether it's in the front or the back. Because that's easy on Casting Network software, no problem. But I do like a slate. And if if you only do one take, I like it on the back.
Awesome. And number of takes, what's your preference?
I like a couple. I don't have a problem with that. I think you're cheating yourself by just sending one. I like everything kind of separated because once again, in your software, I can diddle around with it and say, oh, I like this one, so I'll put it first. And so it makes it easy for me, and I get a little bit of input and choices, which I love.
That's always good. Yep. So here's a situation. I have a couple rooms I can work with. In one room, I might have really great lighting, but the background is not plain. In another room, I have a solid plain background, but the lighting isn't great. So what's more important, great lighting or a plain background?
Okay, well, I would definitely say if you needed to make a choice, the great lighting is more important. I need to see you, and I can defocus on the background. That being said, we're trying to replicate a casting space, and casting spaces always have plain backgrounds. So what I would do, if you have the plain room, make the lighting in there right. I think Tommy's got this circle light that holds your phone in the middle. I think there's a link to that, and I don't think it's very expensive at all. So maybe a choice of that nature you could get all the above, which is the best choice.
Yep. And on the previous link, I had links to that, like the ring light and stuff like that you can use. Cool. But I'll put it on this new link as well for everybody, just so you don't have to go hunting around for it.
Yeah, there are comments out there.
Oh, we got lots and lots of comments, and they're still coming in. So another question, just kind of in general, that people are asking is, okay, I have this self-tape, and this might go back to read the directions, right? But people want to know, what's the best way to get that video actually to you?
To get in.
So I record a video. How do I email it to you? How do I send it? Do you want a YouTube link? What do you want?
I prefer, and you guys prefer, WeTransfer. That's always the best and the cleanest. I mean, so what happens is you guys go rogue and you do all kinds of crazy things. Also, so do the agents. And so it's not entirely your fault. So I'll say, I need a WeTransfer link and spell it out and say where to put it, because I send it to a different email so it doesn't get lost. I have a whole system. And then somebody will send me a Dropbox link, and somebody will send me a Google Drive link. And I have a choice at that moment. Do I deal with going out of my, routine here, because I'm, blurry-eyed, just trying to get the information and put it up? Or do I not look at it at all? And I'm usually not that mean, but sometimes I am, so do it right. And, so there's get rid of the choices for me. Do it exactly how myself or any other casting director asks for it to be done. And if there is no instructions about how to get it to the casting director, ask your agent, because it shouldn't be a guessing game for you.
Awesome. Couple other questions on here. The question is, do I need to include a title card at the beginning of my self-tape?
Now, I've heard in Canada, they love this. Mm-hmm. I hate it so much. And I don't also, listen, I appreciate everything you actors do, I promise. But the title card is crazy. And then some background music and stuff, it's all nuts to me. I just need the clip of what I'm asking for, no background music, unless I'm asking you to dance to some music, that's different. And also, I've noticed that if there's no talking, that you guys will do like this. And so the truth is, if it's MOS and you're like talking through a situation, just talk through it. It happens to be really disturbing to the clients to watch you do that, So just go ahead and talk, unless you're asked to not talk. Then, to mute it, then just mute it. That's fine.
Awesome. is it okay for me to tape outside on a nice day? And I think I'll just say it depends if with a theatrical or commercial, of course, but I'll let you take it from there.
Well, there's a lot of indications, and this is like one of the big reasons I love a self-tape, because my golf guys can go out and do a much better tape of themselves playing golf than I can in studio, let's be clear. So in order to get a golf tape, I have to go to the golf range and stuff, and they never want to afford that for a first call. So that's obviously outdoors, and you probably if you're in that kind of a situation, it's probably windy and there's no good sound. So you want to do your slate as a separate take. You want to do your take of the golf swing with no sound. And you might do a few swings, whatever. And once again, you might be asked to do it from the front, from the side, and, from the back, whatever. Do what you're told, please. But in general, outside gives you a lot more variables. So if it's not a call for being on a paddle, like I've had that too. So if it's not a call for being outside, I would recommend you stay inside and stay with the setup we're giving you.
I agree. A lot of people are asking on whether it's okay to hold sides during your self-tape.
I don't mind that. I mean, a lot of people do it in a casting. If it's one line and you're still holding your sides, I'm not respectful of that. It's just like if it's simple, just get it in your head and do it right. I'm not going to force you to do that, but I think it's cleaner to not have a piece of paper, sitting here in your cat, it's just difficult.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying before in terms of eliminating distractions, right? You want the casting director should be focused on your performance, not what's this behind you? Is that your animal? What are you holding? What's in your teeth? Any of that stuff. Like, it's just like you just want to be able to focus on the art and the presentation and nothing else.
I mean, that, like right now we're seeing all of the newscasters, all of the talk show hosts in their own house. What's the conversation? The conversation is about what does he have in his bookcase? What does his house look like? That's not the conversation you want regarding an audition you're sending me. The conversation that needs to be had about you is, wow, she was amazing.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of questions about, let me see if I can pick a good one on here. I mean, there's so many good questions on here.
I love you guys. Thank you for being actors. I appreciate you guys. I just want to say that. And thank you for staying home and not spreading the thing we're not talking about.
The thing.
I'm not minimizing it.
So, Chris asked in here, when asked for a full body and then a mid shot, if we don't have a remote to do a zoom in and out, is it okay to just walk it instead? So basic questions. A lot of the questions are like, also, I have this backdrop behind me and I zoom out and you can see everything. Like, how do I manage that? Wanting to be able to follow the directions, but still make it look nice.
So that's why I often like to just ask for a still of your head and a still of your body. And sometimes profiles, depending on how that, what the need is. But I think a still comes out sharper. And basically, the reason we have a head to toe is so I can see what what your body shape is. There's obviously a lot of reasons we need to know what you look like today. That's why we're doing a casting. So if you just see this much of me, you didn't even want to know what I got on underneath there. But that's the whole point. We want to see what your body shape is and so forth so that, we can get a feel for that. And hiring you just from this is unacceptable. So I like a still. That may be pretty rogue. And if you need to do it on video, as long as you get it done in the most effective way, don't do this. Still keep it this way. And I know that's hard for a wide shot of head to toe. That's why, once again, if you do a still like this, I can upload that and it's not going to look bad. It's going to be crisp. It'll be much crisper than the video if you want to know the truth. So that's my answer, short and long. Stills. And you guys should also be prepared to do this for still castings. I do a lot of print castings. And so all the same things, you could still do it on your phone or a good camera. Just upload the JPEGs and not too big, not too little. Once again, Tommy can figure that out for you.
Exactly. You just email me or whatever, and I'll answer all your questions. The question was, is it bad form to dress the part, even if it's not requested by casting?
I don't like the dressing for the part mostly, but I also will say sometimes it works for people. So I kind of like people to be all the same. So if I ask for you to be in the police uniform, what's the chance of you having it? It seems, but then there's that one guy that has the police uniform. And I will say sometimes it works. So, but I like everybody to have an equal chance and an equal footing. And that's just kind of plain stuff, as opposed to, I'm not going to make you put a doctor's scrub on.
Yeah. Or a full-on Game of Thrones outfit or something.
It seems overkill.
Unless you're, reading to play Joe Exotic, then definitely go full out and do the full outfit and everything.
Yeah, you got to have the tiger outfit. It's the whole situation.
People were wanting clarification on labeling. So in terms of labeling, are you talking about labeling the file, or what do you mean by that when you say you need to label?
I completely mean label the file. So it's at the top of your JPEG or your MP4. You should be able to easily do a little caret. Am I saying this right? And then and change whatever the file name is, because oftentimes I'll get a file that says 5622, and then 56. It is and it goes anywhere in it's a whole problem. Please just label it with your name, your agent, and the role. And that way I don't have to sit there and think, well, I got 12 roles in front of me, maybe 20. And now I have to look at you and imagine that there's no sides, that you're just doing MOS. I had to figure out what role you're going for. It's difficult. I'm not, it takes too much brain power at that moment. I promise you.
I have this is a good question. Is it better to stay safe within the context of the script or be bold? The one thing that I've heard that I'll just add on is that, if they're actors and one makes kind of a unique choice that stands out, that might be better than someone who does exactly as described, but maybe their, acting isn't up to that same level, I guess. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are.
I love the bold choice, and that's why I actually like to see 2, maybe even 3 takes. And if they're separate clips, you've made my life easy. If I really think it's inappropriate to send my client, I won't send it, and I'll send your best ones. But if you're in the room with me, I'm going to ask you to do it the way I said, and then do it another way. That's, give me what, usually I actually like to lead with the, give me it your way. And then I'll give you some, what I really want. So.
I had some questions from before too, that I want to get to. So, that were sent to you. So, and this has actually come up on the chat as well regarding Eyeline. So what should the Eyeline be? And I know that it varies, again, directions, commercial, theatrical, as we've said, but right. That question has come up a few times.
I mean, it's going to be in your directions, we hope, but if you're talking to somebody in the scene, you may want to be talking to them here. But once again, the biggest thing is I need to see your face. I need to see what your face is doing. So you could be talking to the person here. I really love eye contact a lot. And I like it more than some directors too. So that's kind of a preference, but always remember, show yourself in the best light. This is your audition. And if you want to look in the camera, I don't see anything wrong with that.
This is a very specific question for you. Will you look at all the self-tapes or just the ones that get to you first?
Oh, no. I look at all of them. And particularly now, if you're doing the hashtag quarantine monologue, I am all in. I may even comment. I'm not guaranteeing I'm commenting on all of them, but I certainly have and will continue to. And please amuse me. I swear I need this. And we all do. And you guys are my, I want to be your audience. I have time now. We all do, I think. And we're going to get ready for a big season in the fall. I know we're going to be busy with content and commercials and all kinds of things. So now's the time to hone your skills and send me some stuff.
Yeah. I like this question. It's interesting. Is it true that casting directors ask as many actors to audition as they can just so they have more tapes to submit to the director? I feel that my local CDs are wasting my time. Because it's...
You're right. I never do that. I offer about 10 choices to my clients. I'm like, you're hiring me so that you don't have to spend the time looking at the wrong people. I'm going to choose you to come in my room, virtually or not, and I'm going to send as few to my client as possible because they're going to be happy. I'm going to pick those, we're going to submit them, and they're going to say, thank you for not sending me 1,000, because who wants to look at 1,000? I certainly don't. So I have agents send me their top choices. I go through and pick my top choices, and I go back in and request tapes from them. And so if you get that from me, you can know that you're not in a sea of hundreds at all. I promise.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, the casting director is getting that clip to send that over to their client, so that, you should assume that if you're sending in a self-tape, that client is going to look at it, right. So you should, if you get that request, do it. You don't have anything to lose.
Do it quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people were saying, is it better to be first in or last in? And I say, get it in quick. I am excited to see tapes early. Late is terrible. And, you have to think of, all right, let me explain to you a little bit about my little process. So I'll give you a day or two or however long I can to do your self-tape. I put it out there and say, get it to me by then. And I give as much time as possible because I think that's important. But when people are pushing up to the deadline, so I see no tapes then, and I'm like, a day away from my deadline, and then I see so now I'm starting to call the agents. Well, where are your people? Oh, well, I'm just holding them for you. And I'm like, no. Tell me how many you have. So, and imagine the fact that I'm only calling in 10 per role. So I want those 10 to show up. That each person is important to me, and the sooner the better. Don't wait to the end.
I think this is a great question. If I can get this to come over. So, how can an actor stand out among hundreds of submissions? And, that's the question.
Okay, so in my room, if you're in hundreds of submissions, you're in the first call, and I'm just seeing your profile. And here's where you guys need to really work on your casting network's profile, because your headshot means everything. It should be current. Your resume should be up to par. You should have everything on there should be current and truthful. I don't care if you gained 20 pounds. It makes no difference to me. I want to see what you look like today. because yeah, actors are everything. I have no problem with that, but I need you to keep up with it.
Yep. And yeah, no, that's great. And you know, not everyone knows that your reel is free on your profile. So if you have a reel, put that up there. That's probably one of the best ways to stand out. If you don't have a reel, you can record a monologue, put that up as your reel, have something on there. You know, that's my suggestion, is the number one way that when a casting director is reviewing submissions that you can stand out.
Right. And I've told Tommy already, I would love to do a full seminar about how to fill out your profile, because I think that could be very useful to a few of you guys out there. So maybe look forward to that.
Yeah. I've had different iterations of this question. So I'll just bring in this one. Do real jobs only reach out to agents? Another way that this has been asked is, you know, if I don't have an agent, what are my opportunities? Do you send stuff out to non-rep talent, that sort of thing?
Hang on. My standing desk went down. Is that about right?
Yeah, I like it.
I think I was tapping on it. Ask the question again. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Things happen.
The question's regarding your agent. So do the good jobs only go to agents? Do I need an agent in order to get your castings or participate? What if I'm non-repped? How can I get involved?
Okay, so if you're non-repped, then definitely get a rep. And I think that's easier than you realize. So if you're, I'm sorry, I thought I turned off all the things, but in order to hear you, I can't. Anyway, sorry. So most of my castings all go through agents first. When you see them on Facebook or Twitter or any of the socials, that's when I'm a little bit more desperate and I need real specific needle and haystack things. So if you're an actor, I promise you can get an agent. You just have to work at it. You have to take some time now, hone your craft. Maybe take some online classes. I think there are some out there that are free right now because of the situation. And just learn, do better. If you have nothing on your resume, put the classes on there. You know, get your headshots ready. You can do all this. You can do all this at home. And I think you'll get an agent and you'll have a better experience with an agent, because you need that in order to shepherd your career. It's just how we've worked this thing for a long time now.
I have this question, which is basically, if we have representation, we put everything, we have our reel, we have our photos, and they're submitting, and I'm just not getting called in. What do we do? One thing that I will note is on your agent's end, and most agents are happy to do this for you, you can request a submission report. So you can contact your rep and say, hey, can you send me a submission report for, you know, probably don't want to send it for March because there's been a lot, you know, a dip, but there's still projects going out. But just in general, ask your agent for a submission report, and they can show you straight up. Like I said, most agents will be like, I'll gladly show you all the projects I'm submitting you to. But beyond that, you know, I'm a talent. My agent, let's say the agent is submitting them all the time, not getting called in. What can I do as a talent?
Well, I think you could talk with your agent about it. I know here in Florida we have multi-listed talent, so that's a whole nother issue. My thinking is, once you get an agent, you need to have a relationship with them. Whether you have 1, 2, 5, or God forbid more than that, agents, you need to be in touch with them. You can't just drop them your resume and your headshot and say, or your profile, wherever we're at this point, and say, take care of it. That's not going to happen. You have to, you know, maybe check in with them. Probably not once a week, maybe once a month. Maybe an email is easy. You can ask for this report, but it's a relationship. Remember, the agent is working for you. I'm not. I'm working for the client, right? I mean, I need you, but the agent is the one who's working for you, and that's where your relationship lies, and it's important to have a good one. And maybe through that you could filter out less agents potentially.
I have question directly for you, which is, how long do you like a reel to be? And do you like separate reels or just one diverse reel? So like, a commercial theatrical reel, like all separated out, or do you want it just one with a bunch of different?
No, I like them separate because they're more useful, and I like as short as possible. I mean,
There's only so much time in the day. Yeah.
You can't imagine all that. I mean, just think about times your Facebook by thousands, and then that's a typical day for me, right? It's like, so you have to, if I'm going to look at it, it's got to be short, or I'm tapped out in 20 seconds.
I've had
very fascinating.
Sorry, I'm not the best multitasker.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. So, not sure exactly how to frame this for you, but basically the question is regarding props in your self-tape. So I know that, like, for example, in a reality casting or like one where requires a skill, that's pretty straightforward because you might be going to the golf range or whatever it is and showing that. But how should I handle self-taping at home when the sides ask me to use props?
Well, I mean, you could just kind of utilize whatever you have at hand. It's not really asking you to use a prop. If they say have a book in hand, so now this is a book. I mean, it's really you're actors, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Any tricks on how to soundproof my space?
Well, I understand. Oddly, my space is pretty good, but I have a wood floor here and some carpet in the room. It's not a real high ceiling, so those are things that I'm noticing here. But I understand that fabrics help, so maybe you stand on a rug, maybe you put a little bit of fabric on your wall. Maybe wallpaper is chic now. Maybe that helps your soundproofing. I think all those kind of things. I think tile floors are like the devil, so definitely never record on a tile floor, right?
No.
And yeah, so things like that. But once again, we're taking this time now while we're #quarantining in between the drinking. We're testing our sound, and you're going to find that out. And don't forget, when you test your lighting, to test the time of day.
I like this question because it's not just it's about self-taping, but not really. It can apply to regular auditions as well. So if actors self-tape often but don't get booked, is it a good sign that the same CDs are requesting self-tapes from that actor, even though the actor has never been booked?
So I have this specific thing with one talent that I like very well. And her agent thinks that I hate, she's like, well, you never book her. And I'm like, I love her. I love her. I call her every time. That's the only thing I have. I cannot book her. My client's going to book her, right? So she thinks I hate her. I keep sending the message. I do not. Please keep taping. We are going to hit one. I think you're very talented. And so just remember that if I'm calling you into my room virtually or in real life, it's an important moment. I want you to be there. I'm not just doing it because.
Yeah, I think I get that question a lot where it's like, I'm auditioning all the time and I have all these callbacks, but I'm not booked. So like, what's wrong? It's like, nothing's wrong. That's actually a very good sign that you're auditioning that often. So
the work is the audition. That's it. I mean, that your job is to audition. When you get a job, that's just part of the whole job. But the first part of the job is auditioning. You're not getting paid for it. I get that. But it's the job.
Yeah. We'll probably do a few more. I noticed, by the way, that there were a lot of questions from people saying, how do I get an agent? I've been trying to get an agent. I can't do that. So that might be a good future seminar if everybody is interested in that, because there's definitely a lot of advice we can give out in terms of how to find an agent, because those resources are out there, but I get it. It might not be super straightforward, and it might be helpful to hear from us some suggestions on that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that with you. We can, drop your comments here. Make sure you follow Casting Networks, follow Casting by Rose Rosen. And, we'll be doing more of these. So definitely, let us know what you're interested in.
Let's see. Going through so many. I know we only have a time for a few more, so I'm trying to. All these are really good questions, so don't feel bad if I didn't pick yours, because there's just so many, and there's so many great ones.
But we can also do a Q&A just about anything sometime too. I don't mind that. So Let us know what you're interested in.
So question is, Rose, do you think we'll see an increase in casting directors holding live auditions on Zoom to try and recreate some face-to-face connection from an audition room?
Well, for sure. I mean, we've already been doing that on Skype and FaceTime, and I've already done some on Zoom. Honestly, it's been out for a long time, guys. So it's not new. So yeah, definitely we are in a different situation now, and we're going to be obviously doing things virtually, and that's where we are. So, and there are a lot of projects that are already being auditioned now for hopefully fall, or, whenever it's over, and people are working these things out on spec. I know a lot of actors are busy with auditions, so keep it up.
Awesome. People were wondering regarding this. I'll take myself off here for a second. The hashtag quarantine monologue, just in terms of how they should do that. Do you want them to do that on Twitter, or like, how do they record a video and send that to you so that you can look at it?
I think you can easily do that on Twitter and hashtag quarantine monologue, and I'll be able to see all of them. You can tag me. You can tag Casting Networks. If you tag Casting Networks, I bet they'll upload it to a link for me, but you need a profile in order to do that. So, Dami, you can work that through maybe a little bit. But yeah, if you tag them, but on Facebook, you could tag Casting by Rose Rosen. I'll put that right on my feed. Just make it under 30 seconds, so it's, because people have low attention spans, and I'm top of the list. But can you do something like that if they tag Casting Networks on Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, definitely.
And not have them in memoriam or forever or whatever. And you never know. And this is, I'm a member of the CSA, and this is no guarantee of employment. And I'm not looking at any of these for employment. These are just for fun and to see what you guys are doing. So it's just strictly an open call for no reason.
Here's a good question. I'll do two more.
Okay.
Because I know you got to go. So what do you think of generals? Would you recommend trying to get general set up during this time and or in the future?
I mean, I don't do generals because I've been a virtual casting director for a long time now. I do some in-persons, but I rent space, so I have no room for generals. So there's that. I think you need to see your agent, and that agent needs to push you to me. I love to see your virtual auditions. I'm very into that right now. So that's the way to get to me, is so I can see your face, and I love it.
And we got one more, and you and I had talked about this earlier, so it's a good one. Do you have a preference if the actor sits or stands during a self-tape?
So I definitely like the standing. I think it makes you feel more regal, and I mean, Lord knows I'm a very tall person, but yeah, no, I'm standing for this, and I don't laugh. But I just think that you could project. I think it's a no-brainer to stand, and this is probably a pretty good framing, but like I said, you must include a full body and a headshot, and I like stills.
Awesome. Well, that's it. To answer other questions that people had, just kind of in terms of links and will this video be available? Yes, we'll make sure that this video is available if you want to watch it after. And links will be put on here in terms of how to compress your video so that that's easier to send to casting and get that under 100 megabytes. And different equipment stuff that we recommend that people have had good success with. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rose. Really appreciate this. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we got on. Next time will be a lot smoother, hopefully. And everybody stay safe, wash your hands, stay inside, watch Netflix, all that stuff.
All the good things. Don't reach out to me personally because I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. So just hashtag quarantine monologue and keep your questions on this page. I may go back to it and answer a few more. You never know, but don't expect that. But send me some monologues. I'm really excited to see them. And I want to thank Casting Networks for having me. You guys are great. You're my